Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of Gotham as well as the season finale of Arrow. Like always, if I'm talking about something that you want to listen to, you can always look in the description down below. I include a time when I start talking about each of the respective shows. So, for example, if you want to hear what I say about the season finale of Gotham, you can skip to what I had to say about the season finale of Arrow. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is the season finale of Gotham. A great season finale. A lot of stuff went down that we're going to have to break down bit by bit. Well, first of all, it turned, surprisingly enough, Alfred turned Jeremiah over to GCPD, even which he's even surprised. He's like, I don't know why I did that. I should have just killed him, but it's like, it was the right thing to do. But nevertheless, that was kind of interesting. I was wondering how that whole situation was going to turn around like that. But Jeremiah talks about basically there are more bombs, which turns out to be a lie, but ended up killing the mayor, which is like, man, do you not want to be in a seat of power in Gotham? Because there's always going to be something. They've gone through mayors for different circumstances. Just always, if you're a person of power in Gotham, just automatically know you're always going to have the biggest target on your back. They haven't had the best luck when it comes to captains either. There's always been some bad luck following their captains, but nevertheless, one thing I walked away from this season finale being like, holy crap, what's a whole Butch situation. It's like, oh wow, he's getting killed. I was like, wow. I was like, okay, there's no way this is going to work out perfect, because there's no way they're going to just retroactively get rid of Solomon Grundy. I thought something was going to happen where, because they Strange made that whole, which I wasn't expecting. I thought it was going to find Strange. It's like, no, it's just like Penguin's already got him lined up. It's like, yep, here's Strange, cure Butch. I was like, wow, that was fast. But nevertheless, it's like, hey, I can cure Butch, but just don't interfere with it. And the moment he was like, don't interfere, I was like, okay, I get it. So Butch is going to be needed later on. Something's going to happen, and he's going to try and come to the rescue. And the moment he interrupts it, he's going to be stuck as Grundy or something. That's kind of what my thought process was. Turns out not to be the case at all. It's like, no, the cure went all the way through. I was like, okay, so we're going to find out that maybe given enough time, something's going to happen. I was like, because there's no way they're just going to actively get rid of Solomon Grundy like that. I was like, oh, I guess so. But for that all to be a con, just for, because I was like, oh, it's a little, I'm surprised. I was like, ain't nobody saying anything about Oswald standing over there while Tabitha and Butch kiss and stuff like that. He's like, sorry. I'm like, wait, you're not about to shoot. I was like, what? Why? And he talks to Tabitha. He's like, you thought I forgot about you killing my mom? I was like, oh my God. 2 seasons ago, and he still throws that back in his face. To be fair, it was his mom and everything. I mean, if he could, he'd go after Gallivan, but I mean, it was more so Tabitha who dealt the blow, and it was her fault in the beginning. It's like everything, all this trying to cure Butch was a long con, which is like, holy wow, Oswald holds a grudge. I mean, once again, it was his mom, so it's understandable, but man, all the crap he's pulled in the past and people forgiven him and worked with him. But I guess it's just like, hey, my mom was a line you shouldn't have crossed. And it's like, I cured Butch so I can make sure I put Butch down. Because Tabitha was happy again because, Butch had died. And it was kind of like, oh, well, it sucks Butch is dead. It's like, nope, he's back and he's alive and he's fine. So I guess that was when he was kind of like, you know what, I'm going to remedy this situation and correct that. It's like, holy crap, that sucks. That sucks. Immediately gets cured. He's thanking Oswald and everything, and say, "Oh, we could do whatever. We're here for you. Essentially, you just call us whenever you need." I was like, "Wow, that's bam, killed him." I was like, "Wow," and he's telling Tabitha "Oh, you're gonna live out suffering. I lost a person I love, and now I made it even." It's like, if you want to come and get me, try, because she's going to he's like, once I feel you suffered enough, then I'll kill you. And she's like, not before I kill you. I'm like, jeez Louise, I did not see that coming. Butch, that sucks. Which I don't know what that means. No Solomon Grundy either. I mean, well, there's always it was more so chemicals that brought. I don't know what typically Solomon Grundy's background story, because I always associate his situation with being something like supernatural, like him coming back from the dead. I mean, in this case, it was kind of more like science fictional, but I feel like typically his backstory. I mean, this just might be just an assumption, just because I always felt like he was kind of a zombie, so I always thought it was kind of something supernatural. But nevertheless, it's like, man, does that suck? God, so much. You had the whole conversation. I like Jeremiah's justification for, because we know what, Ra's al Ghul's whole situation is. I mean, Raish wants Bruce to be his Dark Knight. I'm wondering why though. Like beside just the vision, it's like, what would Bruce have being the Dark Knight meant for you? I guess it was just, possibly seeing a potential future where it's like he could take advantage of that Dark Knight or something. Like I don't know like what benefit you would need for Bruce being Batman. That's what I don't. I mean, I guess because it's like I guess in the future when he needs something, he wants Bruce basically forged into a weapon so that he can kind of conquer any place he wants. I guess that was kind of the main point. But it's kind of interesting finding out Jeremiah's is kind of like, I don't believe in this whole prophecies and visions and stuff like that. But he's like, he's like, I see a lot of me in you, Bruce. The fact of the matter, we're so similar. We both have this darkness in us. And the fact of the matter is, he's like, you are more like a brother to me than my own brother. We're so much a better match than me and Jerome. And he's talking about their legacy. The movie said, I was like, that's a nice line. Just because like, oh, Gotham will remember we will create a legacy in Gotham. It's like, you will. I mean, Batman and Joker, that's the probably biggest legacy you'll find. Just that back and forth, the arch enemies that Gotham will forever know. So it's just kind of nice that kind of work together like that. So that it's kind of interesting. Like I said, it's so interesting because he's trying to create his best friend plus his arch nemesis. That's what this is all about. He's trying to create his kindred spirit. And that's always been kind of a Joker's thing with Batman, because he is kind of obsessed with Batman. He wants, like, he likes their back and forth. It's kind of, he has his own reasons for it, which tend to just be, just kind of like, oh, he latched on to Batman. So it's just kind of interesting that the way they kind of maneuver it, even at this point in time in their stories, to be where it is right now. So you had Alfred joining forces with Penguin, Tabitha, and Barbara to take down the League, because each one of them has their own reason. It's like Tabitha wants to kill Jeremiah for shooting Selina. Alfred wants to save Bruce. Barbara wants to kill Raish just to get his position. Because it's interesting because he kind of basically the way he sets it up is like he doesn't have all of the Demon's Head powers back. So like that's why he hasn't had a clear vision. He got a piece of something, but even he couldn't see beyond that. So that's kind of interesting. And Barbara's like, so you're saying I have some of that power, which is interesting. I wonder, is that going to come back like whatever little bit she has, will she be able to muster it up and kind of summon and control it herself or not? That's definitely going to be interesting to see if that is the case. I mean, it didn't really show up in the finale, but that still could be something that kind of potentially shows up in the future. Like, maybe she pushes hard enough. I mean, he is dead now, so maybe all that power went to her potentially. It could be a situation, like, legitimately, because it was both her and Bruce. Like, the power kind of went to Bruce potentially. Maybe it's in him and it just needs to be awakened. I mean, it wasn't outright passed on. He was his heir, but it's almost like, I mean, he has that, which even that's kind of making me wonder, is that going to turn into something too, like two competing heirs? Like, I mean, obviously Bruce wants nothing to do with it, but it might be a situation where he has no choice because he holds part of the Demon Head's power, whether he wants it or not, and Barbara will probably potentially want the rest of it, so that could be something. Well, so go ahead and talk about it. I like that little thing at the end where it's kind of like the men, like, yeah, we surrender, we give ourselves, like, it's like, you defeated Ra's al Ghul, and so she ends up killing all the guys because it's like, oh, the problem, everything, all the evil and crime and every problem that's ever run rampant in Gotham, where it all started, men. So, which I talked about the whole Sirens Club situation, I thought was kind of nice. So, we saw them kill the men side of the League. I mean, I don't know if that's all the men of the League are going to die or whether she's going to wipe them out, but definitely, like, she's starting an all ladies club, which could eventually include, I mean, they've already set up a lot of interesting people. We haven't gone back to it, but there's Jeremiah's, God, I'm blanking on her name. Isn't it Echo? Like, there's her, which we know, like, all of them have a connection, because there's, like, Harley Quinn. Who's she supposed to be? I don't know if she's supposed to necessarily be Harley Quinn, but it seems like they're setting her up to be Harley Quinn, so her. There's still Poison Ivy. We haven't gotten back to her since her and Selina's last confrontation, so Selina herself, that could be kind of her new place is with them. I mean, that's kind of like the closest thing she kind of has to family, so no matter what circumstances may be, that might be kind of like home for her when the situation comes around. I mean, especially because it seems like with her injuries, it could be that she may never walk again, which is interesting. Which I just say that because it's like, I mean, if you're like, that's kind of what happened to Barbara in the comic books. That's why she became Oracle, because Joker, I literally didn't even think about that till now. It's like, Barbara was shot by Joker and paralyzed. Potentially they're setting, like, I doubt they're going to, I mean, it makes me wonder, is like, I mean, I'm sure Celine's going to be fine. It might be a circumstance of her struggling to get back on her feet potentially, you know, but that's just kind of interesting to me that they kind of said that. I didn't even think about that till just now. I mean, that whole situation could just be them kind of alluding to that, kind of referencing that storyline about Barbara. Like, she did eventually, really quickly too, she did eventually go back to being Batgirl in the comic books at some point in time. I don't know if it's necessarily that continuity. I do know she is Batgirl again in the comic books. I don't know. I'm like asterisk. I don't know comic books, so that might not be as up to date. But I think that ended up being her storyline potentially in the Oracle run of things, where she ended up becoming Batgirl again. I don't know, it's just kind of interesting. Now, unless there's something that kind of happened similar to her, like what happened like Felicity and Arrow, which once again can't help but draw comparisons just because of, you know, just everything, you know. So I also love the fact that you had that major dude coming in, stepping in for Jim, like even arresting Jim because Jim was like, do not do this, like you don't know who you're up against. He's just some dude from the outside coming in, and that led to like, you know, it's like, you don't understand, you know, it's like, you should listen to Jim. He's been in Gotham for a while. He knows how Gotham operates. He knows how the people in Gotham operate, especially like Jeremiah, especially with all the times he's dealt with Jerome. It's like, you don't know what you're up against, kind of bringing Bruce closer to this guy and stuff like that. You're just playing into his hands. So there's that whole situation. Riddler kidnapping him to once again just prove like, oh, no. Lee's going to, like, all that was for the purpose of making Lee choose him. I don't know whether he necessarily planned on killing Bruce. Jim. It could have literally gone either way on that, but I'm curious. Like, it could have easily gone either way on that situation. So that might be something like because like I said, it's something Bruce. I mean, God, I keep saying Bruce. Jim kept telling him, it's like, you just need me to validate your relationship. So that means even you're insecure about it, which he is. So he needed Lee to be like, yep, she's done with Jim, because it's like, you think I'm so weak that I'll let Jim Gordon be something to hold me back. So it's like, oh, look at that, Jim. She chose me, not you. Ha 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 ha. It's like, wow, dude, I mean, that's the thing. You were that insecure. But in his mind, it's like, Lee's not being the person she's supposed to be, the woman that I love, because she's so caught up in you. So, which Lee does still care for Jim. It is kind of interesting because she's like, I don't want to go back to who I was. She's kind of perfectly content with who she is now. And she's telling Jim to do the same, because it's like, because for him, it's like, I wish I could undo everything. We could have just left Gotham, had a happy life, but, you know, he didn't make that choice. But she's like, it's a good thing you are who you are, because, I mean, the city wouldn't be where it is right now. I mean, it wouldn't be standing at all if it wasn't for Jim being who he is. Yes, there's a lot of problems that Jim struggles with, but the fact of the matter is, because of him being the man that he is, Gotham is still where it is. He's made mistakes, who hasn't? But he's done his best to make up for those mistakes. So I thought that was kind of a nice touch. And so Lee kind of sending him off and everything. But what really got me is like how hers and Ed's story ended. Like Ed was pissed because it's like, oh, like you're actually going to stay here instead of leaving with me, because first like, oh, the Narrows still need me. Because for him, it's once again, it's kind of like he was so blinded. He was just like, I thought you loved me. And it's just kind of like, for Lee, it's like, I'm tired of you and Jim thinking you know who I'm going to be. The only person that's going to decide who I am is me. You both have your perceptions of who you want me to be, but I'm going to be the one to decide who I am. But Ed tries to stab her. She stabs him, but he stabs her back, and then they embrace in the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's definitely going to be very interesting to see where that goes, especially because we see at the end of the episode is like, oh, Strange, like Oswald orders him to take care of them. He's like, oh, what are we going to do with this? I was like, that's definitely going to be interesting. I was like, are they dead? I assume they're dead. It didn't look like they were necessarily moving. So last time we saw they were moving, but I guess it's like some stuff happened. They probably bled out, but what is going to happen there? Like, I mean, because I don't know who Lee is supposed to be. Like, I don't know if she's someone in the comic books, because I haven't looked it up. I mean, why did I say it like that? Sounded weird. Looked it up. I haven't looked it up, so I don't know. It sounds so weird when I say that now. I don't know if she's someone significant in the comic books, or whether she is just like a Gotham original character. Once again, it's that situation. I brought that up earlier. I think I was talking about the Flash this weekend. I brought that up. Like, I still don't know which characters are TV show original characters and what characters are, like I said, once again, it's that situation of, I kind of assume everyone is it's a DC universe. There's a lot to pull from, not just Batman stuff. It could just be DC stuff in general. So she could just be a DC character that just happens to be in Gotham. She might not even have any connection to Gotham in the comic books. I don't know. I might look into it. I might not, because I kind of might not want to do that just because it will spoil things. Just kind of like the whole Solomon Grundy situation. I found that out because I looked up Butch's real name at the end of season 3 after they kind of revealed it, and then I went into it going, holy crap, he's Solomon Grundy. So I kind of knew that before season 4 happened, just because of that. But nevertheless, we'll ultimately have to wait and see. I mean, ultimately what I decide to do about that. But nevertheless, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Also, who else they're going to bring back. Because that also makes me wonder, like, we still never going back to that Sophia situation. I mean, she's still in a coma and everything. So either she's just going to miraculously wake up in the future, or I don't know. I just feel like that's just kind of a bad guy that's sitting in the back. Especially her being like a Falcone and everything. I mean, you've already kind of gotten rid of Falcone, so I don't know. I don't know whether he's going to take her and experiment on her, or she's going to become something herself. I mean, that could kind of turn into a problem potentially in the future for Jim. I don't know if that'd be. I mean, like, there's not a lot of people left. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the cops kind of probably left. I mean, sure, cops, I'm sure, stayed behind. Yeah, but like, I'm sure Harper might potentially be one of the cops that stay behind. But like, you know, I don't think it's the entire GCPD. So it's like the whole situation and the way the city's in. I mean, will that still be something that's held over Jim's head in the sense of like Sophia comes back and spills the beans, and then it's like, oh, all that falls apart potentially? Like, could that still be a concern for Jim? I don't know. I'm curious. It is kind of interesting what he ended up doing. He did destroy the bridges. I guess it's because immediately my brain was like, I guess those are connecting the different parts of Gotham. But part of me was also wondering, is that supposed to be cutting it off? Because cutting like Gotham off from the outside, I thought that was like what that was kind of representing. Potentially, maybe. I don't know. Because it's interesting because it was kind of like, yeah, because Raish was kind of like, oh, be the Dark Knight of this, you know, Gotham to be your Dark Isle. And I was like, oh, I like it being referred to as that. So that was just kind of an interesting like way of saying it. And it does seem like Raish is dead for good this time. So I also did like that. It's like, you have a choice. Do you be Bruce Wayne, or do you be the Dark Knight that Gotham will need? I'm like, dude, I love that. Like I said, I love that the subtitle for this season was The Dark Knight. That's so good. But it does seem like Bruce is heading in that direction. He tells Alfred to go with Selina. He wants to make sure that she's looked after. It's like, Gotham isn't your responsibility. Jeremiah isn't your responsibility. He's like, I'm making it my responsibility. I'm like, yeah. My favorite was like the giant light lights up in the sky, and he goes and meets with Jim. It's like, yo, what? That's so good. And then they have the whole conversation about the fact of the matter is the city might be, you know, shrouded in darkness, but even then there is light buried inside, and they just have to be there to show people that there's still light in the city, that the city isn't completely gone, which is definitely going to be interesting with all they've set up, because there's so many villains just running up. We see Oswald doing this thing, we see Mr. Freeze, Firefly, I always forget her name. I think it's Firefly, right? The whole Siren situation. It's Scarecrow. Looks like he's kind of going more traditional Scarecrow too, because it looks like he's wearing the hat. It's kind of like, I think my first experience with Scarecrow were in the cartoons where he did wear the hat like an actual Scarecrow. I think just a sack over his head is more modern Scarecrow, typically, I think. That's at least but like the whole actually kind of looking a lot more like I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's kind of more classic Scarecrow, the look he's kind of going for now. I even do like the fact that he's wielding a scythe and stuff. So, and it seems like we're also setting up some new villains, like that boy and the woman kind of wearing those masks, and it seems like he's chopping up somebody or killing somebody. So it seems like we're already setting up new villains. Someone who's more familiar with Batman stuff, it's like, oh my god, they're setting up so-and-so. What? That's crazy. So it's going to definitely be interesting, because we have Lucius staying behind. We have Bullock staying behind. I'm curious to see what Bruce is going to be like potentially in the future. Like, you know, Lucius is still around, so he can give him, you know, gear and stuff like that. But I'm so excited what they do, because Gotham is coming back for a 5th season, and I'm so excited to see like what goes down with all these new villains and what the story is going to be like. Obviously, we're going to see Bruce probably embracing that dark knight side even more. Even curious to find out what the subtitle for next season is going to be as well. You know. Hell, they might. I doubt they do that. Would they even go like Dark Knight Rises or something? Night Rises. I'm curious to see a new dawn or something. I don't know. I'm curious to see like what it's all going to be. What exactly is going to go down with Gotham kind of just being like super villain general criminals are going to be kicking up in large numbers, and it's going to be so interesting to see what happens to the city going forward. And I'm also curious like to see what Bruce's attire is going to look like. I mean, he burned a mask and everything, but who's to say Lucius won't make him another one? Like I said, the whole cure situation, see how far they take that, or they just, be prowling the streets. Like, what next season has in store for him, Also, like I said, what's going to happen with Selena's whole situation? Will they still be where they are right now next season or not? Will things get complicated again? There's always a complication. I mean, I think that's just kind of like Batman and Catwoman's story in general. There's always complications there. Because it also, like I said, a lot can be set up too because the fact is Hugo Strange is back in town and everything kind of run a little wild. And let's not forget, we do have... almost laying something on my mind. Like, we do have Jeremiah still on the loose, and that might be a big thing we see kind of next season, them clashing and all out, kind of like Gotham caught between the war between Batman and Joker. That'd be sick. So, like I said, I'm super excited to see what season 5 has in store for us. And now moving on to the season finale of Arrow, a great season finale. A lot of stuff went down that we got to break down. Obviously, we have Team Arrow joining forces with the FBI. That's pretty badass, seeing everyone work together, which is kind of impressive. We actually look at some of the FBI got pretty sweet moves too, but seeing everyone work together, especially taking down all the police. Like I said, that's still a question I'm walking away from the situation. All the cops were on Diaz's payroll. Like I said, they're not going to show it, but you literally have to restock the entire police force because you can't trust none of them because they were all dirty cops in the end. So the entire police force has to be, I wonder, like cops from other cities, like Central City, going to come on over to kind of compensate for that or something. Like, how's that whole situation going to work? I'm so curious to find out how they're going to handle that. That's something I brought up before, so that's kind of an interesting thing. But I'm also curious, like, we never found out what exactly happened with Anatoly. I mean, to be fair, Anatoly kind of has to watch his back forever too, because like Diaz figures out about him being this whole situation. Obviously, he was super suspicious and stuff like that, but his suspicions were confirmed. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, it's not to be too shocked because, I mean, Diaz being the paranoid person he is. He mentioned some enemies we never got to see, but the longbow hunters, which is interesting, which they were never featured in this episode, doesn't mean he doesn't have those connections. I mean, it was more so, it's part of the trap and everything, but it does beg the question, like, will that turn into something later on? Apparently, that's kind of interesting, too. It's like 3 assassins who even, like, the League of Assassins feared them too. It's like apparently they died off in like the 1950s, so it's like, are they more of a myth or like what's up with that? I feel like that's set up for like, no, that could definitely be something in the future, but we'll kind of have to wait and see on that front. So I kind of already knew Oliver was doing, like I suggested it last episode, I figured that's like, of course it's going to end this way. Like, I thought it was more so going to be Watson's idea. It seems like it's not. It's more so Oliver's idea. I guess it was like, she put out a suggestion and Oliver reworked it to basically like, hey, I'll be the one to go down, but give immunity to everybody else. Because she was probably going like, okay, we do this, but then I take you all down, not just Oliver, but Oliver took the deal to make it so, because it would be a bigger impact if him being the Green Arrow, him being kind of the symbol of him being the one that started all of this, it'd probably be more of an impact if he's the one. So even though Agent Watson was all about it, you do see that she wasn't 100% all for it in the end when it came down to it. I don't know. You see, like, even some slight regret and kind of like, I'm sorry that kind of things are playing out like this. Like, before she was all about, taking Oliver down. I don't know. I don't feel like she had that air about her. I guess because it's kind of like, no matter what, she knew it was going to play out like this, so she didn't have to feel like that. So I don't know. Because it's kind of shitty because it's like, oh, the FBI's only going to stay in town long enough to deal with this whole Diaz situation for as long as Oliver still continues to turn himself in. And he's making his tour to everybody. He talks to Renee, which Renee had that powerful moment in that warehouse, booby trapped. Like, that lady was kind of afraid, and Renee ended up calling Zoe because he was like, he didn't know if he was going to make it. I thought that was going to be a conversation where Oliver was like, okay, you should go be with Zoe. He's like, no, I should be. He's like, no, go be with your daughter in this situation. That's what I thought was going to lean to. Turned out not to be the case. It was just kind of like, you're a great man, Renee. I thought you were a thug before, but it's like, interesting. It's kind of funny. I'm just pointing it out, and I think it's kind of fucked up. Curtis didn't have his moment. It's just interesting because it's kind of very similar to the Agent Watson situation. It's like, no, Curtis, Curtis, you're Curtis, So I just think that's incredible that it's happened again. He gets shafted again. But nevertheless, had his moment with Diggle too. He's like, "Yep, I even got this other Arrow outfit set up for you," but Diggle didn't want it because it's like that symbol means so much to the city. It would be like diminished if like there is more than one just floating around. So he decided not to, But Oliver apologizes for always underestimating Renee and not making things kind of get to the point that they were between him and Diggle. He apologized to Dinah because it's like, yeah, it takes a big person to be doing what she's doing, putting her vengeance aside to make sure that this whole Diaz situation is settled, So even had his one-on-one with Quentin because it's like it's hard to believe where they are. Like it's like where we started at. Obviously, Quentin never really liked Oliver back when he was dating, Laurel, and then it's also like the first time you arrested me, and it's like we were at odds, but look at us now. We're partners, we're friends, So I thought that was kind of a nice thing. And even what he says later on, that the fact of the matter is, it's like, oh, you're a good father, Quentin, and Quentin was like, you're a good father too. He's like, I had a great example. It's like, yeah, your father was great. But it's like, no, I'm not talking about my dad. Quentin is the man that kind of helped steer him in the right direction. Because a lot of times, like when Oliver was kind of lost, Quentin was one of the people to kind of put him in the right, point him in the right direction, had his back when everything, was there kind of supporting him along the way. Like Oliver gave him this position and stuff like that. He was, it's just, and like, I'm skipping all around, but it sucks. I was like, there's no way they're going to, especially when he was kind of making that joke to Renee. It's like, if things go sideways with this at my funeral, don't call me Hoss. And it's just kind of like, why did it have to turn out like this, man? It sucks. I mean, we even had Sarah coming back because Laurel got in contact with her. And it's kind of like, man, that sucks. Because not only did she lose her sister, now she's also lost her dad too. I mean, it kind of compensates a little bit because she has Black Siren there, which is like, I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. This is actually your first time meeting each other, which is incredible. It's like, are you anything like our Laura? She's like, hardly, but she says that, but there is a piece of her that is, because everything she did, because it's something Diaz was talking about. The fact of the matter is, you could have run at any point in time, but what did you stayed because you were afraid of what I might do to your daddy. Even going as far as calling him dad. There's even points where even he was like, Lance was kind of like, no, that man has my daughter. It's like, see, it's that beautiful thing about it. Like, she's just as much his daughter as the other, like his Laurel is, And it's not like she's a substitution. She's kind of a Laurel all on her own. She filled that void in his heart while kind of also making room for herself. She doesn't replace the Laurel that's in his heart. He just has room in his heart for another Laurel, So. And it's just kind of sad that it's just kind of circumstances came down to this. I mean, it's kind of interesting because it could also potentially set up Black Siren for Legends of Tomorrow. Like, Sarah might be like, since you're around and everything, so you're not going back to Earth 2 anytime soon, why don't you come kick it with us? I mean, like I said, there's plenty of vacancy on a Wave Rider, so that could be a ship. That'd be kind of interesting seeing them kind of like duoing it up. I mean, especially because this season kind of set her up. It's kind of like the almost anti-hero. Like, she has her hero qualities about her, so this could be, I mean, she might kick it in Star City or she might go on a Wave Rider. I don't know. I'm curious to see what her move ultimately ends up being, I mean, because they're both probably going to need each other. Because I mean, the conversation never came up, but it's like, what about this Sarah in their timeline? Is she going in on Earth 2 as well? Because Quentin's not there on Earth 2, so it begs the question, like, what about Sarah? Like, maybe that's come up before, but I don't remember it. So I mean, that could be something they end up talking about. This could be Laurel's kind of filling in that hole in her life because of her family being gone, and now Sarah's. I mean, she still got her mom, but I mean, that's still just kind of a sucky situation that came down to this, especially after that conversation, like all this happened, I mean, this is all, I mean, that might be a reason why Laurel might stick around too. She might stick around long enough just to try and kill Diaz herself. She wanted him dead anyway herself, but, because she even said it, because I get the feeling like, well, the end of the episode where she blew him off the building kind of makes it seem like, well, no, she has it set, like, that was kind of her attempt, but like even more so after this, like Diaz being alive, she's going to go after Mars, so we might not see that. We might see her pop up. She might not fully join the team until this whole Diaz situation is potentially solved, so ultimately we'll kind of have to wait and see. I did like the final showdown between Oliver and Diaz, and just kind of like the whole like sliding and cartwheel moves they made. It's raining and stuff. I'm like, yo! I really like the, because obviously it's a big part of Arrow too. It's kind of like that dark aesthetic and a lot of the stuff. So like kind of the shadowy look of the fights and stuff. I really appreciated that too. because he kept talking about the fact is when it came down to it, Oliver still wouldn't kind of put him down. So, because that's just not what Oliver was trying to do. So, I was curious to see what this. I actually thought like, oh man, she killed. I was like, nope, she blew him into the water. It's like, oh, so Diaz is well alive and pissed. Basically, everything he tried to do with Star City came undone. The FBI's here. They're not going anywhere until he's dealt with. Everyone that was potentially on his side has been arrested. I'm wondering, is that including like the ADA as well as the former like police chief or whatever? Like both those people, like because they had to be on that payroll that Oliver handed over to the FBI and everything. So everybody got taken down, so that's kind of neat. We've never like I said, we've never had like such a like one-sided situation in Star City of it being like so overpopulated with like people. Bad guys have been in power, sure, but not to like this extent. And basically everyone has gotten taken down. Like I said, and it's not even just a police force. Now I'm looking at it, it's like a lot of high-ranking officials got to be replaced too. Like Star City's got to have to get like a whole like revamp all across the board. Police, people in power and stuff like that. Interesting enough, also too, there's like the mayor position that's open too, so that's definitely going to be interesting. Because it's kind of a sad thing, because like Felicity, like when it's all said and done, like going back to the whole Oliver situation, Felicity knew something, so she's like, okay, why are you doing this? Like almost like you're giving like everyone the Oliver Queen farewell tour. It's like she knew something was up. It's like she was under the impression that it's like, is Agent Watson telling you to give up being a Green Arrow? And he's like, to an extent. And it's like, she's like, no, she can't do that. Like, you know how much the Green Arrow means to see what it represents and everything, you know? So it's just kind of sad because even she didn't know everything until the end. She thought she had an idea, but it turned, even she was blindsided like everybody else. I did like him kind of finally admitting it. Like obviously, well, first it's the whole Williams situation. He's got to break that down and explain. Like, I'm curious, like, could this be them potentially setting that up in the future? Like we know in the future that it's John's son that kind of takes up the hood. That might be the reason why that probably happens, is because Diggle keeps up the hood, because it's like the city needs a Green Arrow. He has a suit, so he wants to be that symbol while Oliver's away. And interestingly enough, even before I watched this episode, because I saw the episode title, I was like literally life sentence. It's like solidified it even then before I even watched the episode. I forgot to even mention that. So he's probably going to be the Green Arrow, and you know his son John's most likely going to pick up the mantle afterwards, because obviously that's what it was like in that far distant 2040, is it 47 or 49 Star City from season 1 of Legends. So there's that. But I mean, I still kind of think it's interesting. They could potentially still set William up to kind of take up the mantle after that. I don't know if he's going to want that or if they're going to decide to do that. It's definitely going to be hard for Felicity too, because it's like, she's the stepmom in this situation. It's like, you know, she's been a mom for a little while, but she's only just gotten into this position, and she's been here for like in this position for a year. Even she's kind of like, I'm not his biological parent. Like, what do I do in this situation? Like, his mom is going, his dad's going to be locked away. I'm sure they're going to visit him in prison and stuff like that. But I even liked it. She was like, okay, John was suggesting we break you. Like, John came up with a plan. We got a plan to kind of break you out and everything. It's like, don't. Because if he doesn't go through this deal, for one, he'd be on the run for the rest of his life, sure. Plus, the team would take the fall for it. So, but with this, like, he ended up clearing Roy's name. So Roy, well, he's supposed to be dead anyway, so there's that snafu. But it also, if he ever pops up again, it's like, well, he's not the Green Arrow. He also cleared Tommy's name of being the Green Arrow. And he's like, other people, so many people have sacrificed and died because they believed in my cause and my fight. And, you know, it's like, to keep my secret. And he's like, no, like, you know, basically, and it's interesting because obviously the Green Arrow like inspires his city. I'm curious to see obviously he calls out to his friends and his allies, but this is most likely going to lead to a lot of people coming and rising, like a lot of other vigilantes rising in this whole situation in the wake of Green Arrow being taken out, because you know crime is going to go a little rampant. It's like, yo, Green Arrow's in jail, let's do it. But you know, everyone's going to probably try and keep everything. I mean, like I said, the FBI's in town, but that doesn't mean diddly squat with a lot of the stuff that Star City has experienced over the years, all the supervillains that's been around. So it's like, you know, it's not going to be that easy to handle. So, but I think this could potentially be set up for like other future vigilantes, other people kind of like the city kind of taking back its own destiny, kind of picking up its fight. Like I said, once again, kind of similar to the whole Damien Dark situation at the end of season 4 in season 4's finale. So I don't know. I mean, I'm so curious to see what they do going forward. This whole thing, like Oliver's literally in jail, and unlike Barry's situation, doesn't seem like he's going to get out of this easy. He's already admitted to being a Green Arrow, so even if it gets free, there will always be a target on Felicity and William's back because of that. Like, it's kind of interesting because he's the first hero amongst this whole DC situation to be outed as the hero he is. Like, no one else is in that situation currently, so it's just kind of interesting for him to be the one. I mean, to be fair, he was the one that started all of this, not just this team of like heroes. Is also like this whole Arrowverse situation. It started with him, you know, so it's just kind of interesting. That thing's kind of, I've been curious to see what, I mean, obviously, like, Team Flash is dealing with their own situation right now with DeVoe, but it's still curious, like, how they feel about this whole circumstance, you know? I mean, especially considering the fact is Barry was literally in a situation not too long ago himself. Like I said, it's just not, there's not as much wiggle room for him as, like, Barry was. Barry is like, oh, he was framed for committing a crime, and it's like, he was proven not guilty, and it's like, oh, this situation is like, Oliver's publicly said it, he's kind of turned himself in as part of a whole plea deal situation of, like, I go down, everyone else I care about is immune to this whole situation. So something I'm just thinking about too is when it comes to Diaz, let's not forget Diaz has still got an army of his own, because let's not forget he still operates and controls three-fourths of the quadrant. I'm curious to see will he kind of get any new allies next season or something like that. You know, whether he'll fill those ranks with other people or will he continue to control? I mean, once again, it's like, technically it's 3/4, but really it's all of it, because like, I'm sure that guy, like, I'm curious to see like what the full might he has, but even like that, I mean, because it didn't seem like he had those large number this episode, so it's probably like he's kind of taken over, but he probably doesn't have quite the access to the power because he's probably waiting until this whole situation died out. He took out all the heroes once Star City was completely his. Then he'd come and gather up his strength. So he's definitely still in Star City. He can't really be leaving because like the FBI is going to be looking out for him. They're literally not leaving until he's gone. He's dealt with. So it's going to make getting around a lot harder. So. But I'm definitely interested to see, because even the Quadrant, like I said, it's not like it's a power that has to be worried about a crime organization all on its own. It's like, no, Diaz is the one that kind of pulls the strings on that now because he killed 3/4 of the leaders. So I don't want some completely forgotten about it too, but there's just the whole Dinah and Laurel situation. It seems like even under these circumstances, she's kind of let things go, mainly because it was a wounded Quentin. So it's like that took the main focus. But obviously her and Dinah and Laurel worked together and got him out of there in time. So. I did like that whole situation. It was kind of interesting. I was like, because like Oliver had learned about Quentin's Peacemaker. I was like, oh, this is the first time you heard about that? He's had that for a while. And it's like, but he brought it up out of nowhere. And it's like, oh yeah, because that was supposed to be part of this. So I thought that was all part of Oliver's plan, but it's like, no, it seemed like Quentin kind of did that on his own. So, because Oliver was kind of like, hey, trust me. I thought the whole point was to make it seem like, oh, he went off on his own when in actuality Oliver's told him to do. It's like, no, Oliver didn't tell him to do that. So. Like I said, a great season finale. Do note, at the time of recording this, I am not aware if this is getting renewed for a 7th season or not. I'm really hoping so. I would think so, but more so, I'm hoping so. Like I said, I'd be so curious to see who and what he'd be up against, because there's still an enemy that was set up back in season 4 that we haven't dealt with yet, and that is Hive. The organization that Damien Dark was working with, they're still kind of out there, and that hasn't circled back around. I guess they're still kind of doing their own thing. Plus, like the whole like Longbow group, we still don't know about that, whether that turns into something or not. And also, let's not forget about, I don't know if it's going to circle back around or not, but there's the whole like Nyssa, Roy, and Theo situation. I mean, that most likely might not be a bit, it might pop up a little bit potentially in the next season, but there's also the whole Talia situation. I'm curious to see like what that, like whether she'll pop up or not. I mean, it's kind of interesting considering like DC comic stuff. It's like, well, there's the whole her son situation, the son that her and Batman have. So I don't know if that's going to be something that I mean, that'd be something too. I was kind of thinking about, like, considering the whole like William situation, we could potentially see like a time skip in the next season. I mean, I don't know if they necessarily would do that, but I mean, it'd be kind of interesting if they did. I mean, it'd be kind of the same situation as a lot of stuff, kind of like how the Vampire Diaries type of situation, in the sense of like it did a time skip and eventually the originals had to catch up on it because it all takes place in the same world. So basically, like Legends is kind of in its own way because of the whole time travel and stuff like that. But the Flash would kind of have to compensate for that too. It'd have to do a time skip too, which I doubt they would. But I don't know. I'd be so interested to see what they would do with a 7th season. what villains would we see pop up? I'm not that familiar with a lot of, for one, Green Arrow villains, but also just villains DC wise anyway. Because the show, majority of its villains are non-supernatural. Obviously, Damien Dark was like the first like full-on main antagonist that was like magic, but I don't know if that'd be something they'd circle back around to or not, because there's a whole aspect of like, oh, whether this show should stay grounded or not, it's kind of a lot of people's opinion. So it'd probably be a regular person like villain, but I'd be curious to see who they were. I mean, like I said, everything's setting it up to be like Diaz continuing, which is interesting because that's never happened. Like, obviously, villains have returned, but main antagonists, not really. The closest one is Merlin, but he never took back center stage as, like, the main antagonist any season. He popped up as a villain, arrow-wise. I mean, obviously, that's not really the case in the Legion of Doom situation in Legends, but in this show, like, he never popped up again, and even, like, Slade's still around and kicking, which that's kind of a storyline. I don't know if that's going to be something, once again, it might be like the whole Nissa, Thea and Roy situation of like the Lazarus Pit situation of like, it might be kind of like it's out there happening. We might get a peek into that storyline, but the whole situation with Slade and his son, whether that kind of circle back into the story or not. As well as, once again, there's something I brought up too, the whole Anatoly situation, whether he's still in the U.S. I mean, he turned himself in, so he's probably kind of being put in like a witness protection situation, potentially, but that won't stop someone like Diaz from coming out. He did talk about the fact that he's going to make Anatoly's situation slow. I mean, let's not forget, too, Anatoly has been welcomed back into the Bratva. To be fair, he kind of kicked that aside, but now that circumstances are playing out the way they are, I don't know if he'll be more inclined to take that position back or not, whether he's still kind of like, they cast him out so easily, so why should I bother going back? It's his mentality, so whether he still feels that way or not, it'd be interesting to find out, so. Like I said, I'm curious to see the state Team Arrow is in next season, too, because, well, Oliver kind of brought them all together, and I think he's still going to keep them all together. Diggle, whether he's still going to be working with Argus or not, which, like I said, there's the whole Legends of Tomorrow, like the future Zari's from with the whole Argus situation. So I don't know if John's going to leave and go lead Team Arrow or not. Like I said, I'd love to see what they do with the 7th season. If it comes back with one, once again, I'm severely, really hoping that they are coming back for one. So. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good